Now we've ensured our data is cleaned and free of error, and then you can go ahead to save your file, and then you click on save, or rather you can use Ctrl S to save. Ctrl S to save, and then it's saved. So I'm going to exit. Now the next step is to navigate to your Power BI, and then you go to your Power BI. So here is the Power BI environment. Okay, and the next step is we want to bring in our data, which is we navigate to blank report, and then we have options of what kind of data I want to bring in. Okay, is it coming from a SQL database, or is it a blank table? And in our case, we are using the Excel data, so I'm going to click on import data from Excel, and then you can find the location where your data is stored. In my case, I have it to be on my desktop, and now I will navigate where I have my Adidas sales data and open it up. Okay, it will take a few minutes to actually open, and then the Excel. Here is a preview of your data. And the next thing I want to do is to click on transform, and then we are going to have a Power Query editor open up right here. Okay, now here is our data. Let me zoom this a little. Here's our data. Okay, you can make changes to your data. Okay, and we can go to where we have transform. Okay, and if you need to change anything in your data, you can right click on the column and then choose replace value, and then whatever value you want to replace, you can replace it there. And again, I want to check, I go to my view tab, and then I want to check the quality of my data, and then you can see the validity of your data, which is showing the statistics. Now we have this row to be, we have this column to be 100% free of error and no empty, and then we can scroll around and see if there are empty cells. So there are no empty cells in this entire data. So this is how you check for errors on Power BI. And then once you are done with your changes, and then there's nothing else we want to do, and then back to your home tab, you can click on close and apply, and then your data is going to load to Power BI. Okay, and here is your blank canvas where you work with your data, and this is your report view, as you can see. And we have our table view. If you need to see your table once again, you can click on that part to show your table. And here is for data model. If you have several data load together, you're going to have to like do a union or join your tables here. So this is your data model tab, and we have quite a new tab added, which is DAX query. Or you needed to write some functions. You can come here to write your functions to manipulate your data, and this is quite new. Okay, and then this is another code editor for your data model. Alright, and there's nothing else for us to check. We can rush back to our report view and start building our visuals. Okay, and then we have our data at this right side panel. You can click on the drop down arrow, and right there you can see all the column headers. And then now our data is being divided into two parts. One is dimension and the other is a measure. You can see right here we have it to be total. We have the sigma sign, which tells you it is numbers, and then we have these two to deal with numbers. So automatically Power BI is going to sum them all together because they are numbers. Okay, and then taking a look at the table, how do we begin to carry out our analysis? Okay, so now we have to come up with metrics. So I have my metrics which I have already planned, and I have it right here. So in order not to waste much of our time, I want to carry out the total sales and total units sold, average price per unit. We have the operating margin, and then our sales by region or states, our sales by products, sales by sales method, and then we are going to check on monthly sales trend. So back to my report view, and then what we are going to do now is to click on our total sales and then right click on it, then click on new measure, and then we are going to type in total sales. Let me make this a little bigger, and then we can have it to be total sales equal to, and then we enter the function we want to use, which is a sum function, and okay, I think it's quite big, sum, and you can choose one of the options. In this case, we want to see total sales, and then close your brackets and enter. oh, we have an error, we have the name already existing. So what we can do is put an underscore for our naming convention and then click enter once more. You can see our measure has been created, and then the next one is total units sold. I'm going to right click on the units and new measure. I'm going to call this total is equal to, and then I'm going to do a sum and then choose my total units sold. Total units sold, and then close your brackets and enter. And the next one should be average price per unit. Okay, and then right click one more time, and we can have average price per unit to be equal to, and then I'm going to use the average function. Select your average function and select a price per unit, and then OK. And then our next matrix is the operating margin. Operating margin. Okay, so okay, and one more thing before we do the operating margin, what we can do is go to our operating margin and then do a new measure, and then we call this operating margin to be equal to, and then we want the sum of operating margin, operating profit, yes. Or rather, let's call it operating profit. Okay, and then we can close our bracket now and enter. So we have a new measure. Okay, now let's create the operating margin, and then I'm going to right click one more time and then call it operating margin, which is equal to divide. Okay, and then what you want to divide is going to be sum of what? Operating profit. Okay, close the parentheses, comma, we divide by sum of total sales, and then close your two parentheses and then enter. Okay, Now let's look at the next metrics. Okay, all right, and that is the last metrics we want to look at, and then we can use it for KPIs. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.